Hello and a very warm welcome to all the viewers of dtalks, that is Disruptive Literacy Talks. And this is Tanmay Prakash, your host of the session. Dtalks aims at coming together in eradicating illiteracy and focusing upon foundational literacy and numeracy, as committed under the Sustainable Development Goal 4 and in India's national education policy as well. Dtalks is an initiative of Global Dream, a disruptive movement for universal foundational literacy and numeracy, also known as FLN. It was launched in 2014 by Dr. Sunita Gandhi, educationist and former economist at the World Bank. By using disruptive and research based methods and processes, Global Dream aims to make India 100% literate in a time bound mission. And moreover, we believe in disrupting the status quo when best is not the enough. Moving on with today's session, I would like to introduce you with the speaker of the session, Ms.Mara Sofia Pinto, Integrated Member, Research Center of Child Studies, University of Minho, who will be speaking upon the topic Coordination of Emergency Education, Power Dynamics and Accountability. Mara Pinto is a PhD student in Science Education, Education Psychology and Policy Education Specialty at University of Minho. Through a scholarship with Science and Technology Foundation (FCT) in the same university, she is also an integrated member of the Research Center of Child Studies, that is CIEC. Her main research focus has been the coordination of education in emergencies, a case study of the Education Cluster Cameroon. She has a postgraduate degree in Child Studies, Information and Communication Technologies, also known as ICT, also from the University of Minho. Previously, she was an elementary teacher in Portugal and basic education technician and education in emergency humanitarian. We at dtalks are highly glad to have Ms. Mara Sofia Pinto with us. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to dtalks.
Thank you so much, Tanmay.
And ma'am, as you have studied a lot about education, child studies, so please tell us that how the journey started. Where did you get the motivation to work in the field of education and child studies?
Well, the education came from the studies. I wanted to be a teacher, so this is what I studied in the beginning, and then I was getting interested for different things. I end up in Guinea-Bissau as with cooperation with Portugal and Guinea-Bissau, and then education and emergency was the next step. So it was a bit. I think education is the one of the most important things in the life of the children for the future. So I started as a teacher in Portugal because of this. I think you can change a lot of things.
Yes, and teaching at the elementary level makes the foundation much stronger, because when we work on the foundation, the building ahead will be very stronger. Yeah, as it is said. So, ma'am, before moving on to the session, I think you have a presentation to present with us. So, it would be great if we could see that presentation, and then we can have a discussion and move this session ahead.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Let's go for it. So I choose this image from the sky here because we are talking about coordination in education, and coordination is a little bit for me like a constellation, right? If you have a star in the sky is something, but if you have all the stars together, you can talk about constellation, and you can see where are the North Pole and where are many things. So coordination can give a sense to education and make it more powerful in many ways. Next. So in this moment in the whole world, the crisis, the humanitarian crises are getting more strong, more complex, And in 2021, now from the global humanitarian overview, we can see this huge number, 248.5 million people in need in all the world. So, and this in 56 countries. So I can show you in the next slide. I can show you that this is growing each year. Next slide. Next. I think is okay, coming, right. So you can see in 2012 to 2021, it's getting more and more, the crises are getting bigger, and the people in need is very, very worried situation, a very, very worried situation. I'm sorry about my English. This is not my native language, so I hope that I can pass the message. You can go to the next one. Well, in this map, you have represented the crisis and the people in need. You can see that the global south have the huge part of the crisis, not because the other countries don't have crisis, but mostly because this is where humanitarian going to work, because and in coordination and emergency, the humanitarians come to help the governments, right? So sometimes the needs are biggest in the global south. You can see also that the people targeted is less than the people in need. So even if we want to help all the people, when we are planning our strategy and our work, we target just one part of these people, because some places we can't reach, or some things we know that we will not be able to do in that year. And because we plan for 1 year, for 3 years, we do the targets for that period of time. And you can see that this is what we want to do, the targeted, but then we ask for a fund, and we will have just a percentage of the fund. In this case, 32.8% of the funding is covered, just 32.8%. So you can go to the next slide. We will start to talk about education and why this is important. So let's think about a crisis. Maybe the one that can pop to our mind can be, for example, a war. So why we should spend money in education if the people don't have food to eat, don't have shelter, don't have water? So, and we see that the money that we have, it's not enough to all the people. So why should we spend money on education? So let's think about a concrete situation. And for example, I was working in Chad. And in Chad, we had approximately at the time 300,000 people that came from Darfur, from the crisis in Darfur, and they were so this was a long time ago, more than 10 years. They ran because of the crisis, and they arrived to Chad, and 10 years passed. So imagine if the children don't have education during 10 years. Now it makes more sense, right? Now the education makes more sense in a crisis. And also, if you think that the children have been passing by a trauma, by a situation, a complicated situation, in the crisis, the children have always the children, like everybody, but the children usually don't have the same resilience or the way to cope. And also they have the right to education, like it's a child right and a human right. So the education come here in this situation as a place of normalcy, where the children can be together and can be safe and can also think about different things and develop many skills, including literacy and numeracy. And these skills that they are learning will help them for life. So it will give them opportunities in the end of the crisis or even in the middle of the crisis. So it's not we are tackling the problem in the basis. So we are not letting the children go without education. At the same time, in terms of food, in terms of water, every other sector can be tackled also in the learning spaces. So we can do vaccination, for example, in school, or we can do nutrition, or we can send nutrition to home from the children. And so the learning space is also complementary of the other sectors. And then is also a place to socialization, to be together, to play, and to be a child, right? Finally, teachers are the largest mass of people that look for peace. So if they are working with the children, we are working for peace in the future also. We can go to the next slide. Okay, and now I will talk a little bit about coordination, and I will start to go more deep in my subject. So I will start with one sentence from one affected girl, and then we will talk a bit about coordination and the power dynamics in the coordination, and how can we tackle this subject. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so here we have Aisha Tuma. I hope I'm saying correct the name. She's a representative of Yasamit from Syria, and she says, my overriding wish is that humanitarian aid will always affect me and the entire displaced population positively, and not have a negative impact in our lives already disrupted by the crisis. So we can think, but humanitarians are there to help. What can be wrong, right? But in fact, sometimes we act in a sense that can do harm. One of the principles of the humanitarian aid workers are do no harm, exactly, because we can do it. It's possible. So I will be deep in this situation, but we can go to the next slide. So what coordination do in this situation? Organizations are there to help, and we have this mechanism that will help to make sense of what all the organizations are doing at the same time. So the idea is, for example, to do not double work. You can imagine if you are giving school material in a village and tomorrow another organization come and give school material in the same village. And like 2 kilometers away, there are a village with no children receiving school material. So this is what coordination can do, can inform decisions, can build capacity for the organizations, can basically help to connect the dots in a very simplistic way. This is what coordination do. And how can we do it better? How can we empower the coordination? So this is, we can go to the next slide. So again, you can see in this image more clear what we are doing. Putting together, when we put together all the organizations and the UN and the civil society and donors and governments, and when together work for the same objective, for the same goal, the impact can be very different and and a lot bigger, right? So you can, just to understand that the coordination, as I'm talking here, the cluster coordinator, the cluster coordination is activated in a country if there are needs for it. So it means that if the government coordinates the education in that country, the education cluster don't come in. But if the government, for many reasons, because they are at war, and or because they don't have capacity, or because any reason they need some support, the cluster coordination can be activated and work with the government to improve the quality of the humanitarian response in terms of education in emergency. Now you can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is here we can see all the core of the cluster coordination. And you can see that the affected people are in the center, and is the circle that is incorporated by all the other circles, because this is why we are there, right? Why we work is because of affected people. So you can see that there are coordination and information management that work for this end, and what they do is that they analyze the needs, then they plan, they mobilize resources, they implement and monitor with the organizations and with the partners, and then they do an evaluation. So it works like a program cycle, and that's it. The idea is to do also preparedness the most possible to reduce the risk of the population, and to strengthen the resilience of the population. So you can go to the next slide. So let's talk about power dynamics. Power dynamics in life, it set the tone for all the interaction almost in life. So it can influence decisions and can shape approaches, and it can guide governments. So there are the power dynamics are in the network of the cluster education is something that is there, like it's in everywhere. But how it works and how can we tackle this in the sense that the affected population have more power in what is decided to them. You can go to the next slide. So if the humanitarian workers, the humanitarian systems are not listening actively to the affected population, and specifically to the affected children, what can happen is that can have misunderstandings, right? You can see in the image that the parents think that they have the most wonderful the most wonderful toy for the kid, but we don't know if the kid thinks exactly the same thing. Maybe not. So there are some things that help us to listening to the community, and to to evitate to do harm. So we start with the principle, the humanitarian principle, do no harm. And in education specifically, we have the conflict-sensitive education approach. We have the Grambergen guidelines, the international guidelines that came from the summit, the Humanitarian Summit in 2016, I think. We have the core humanitarian standards on quality and accountability. All of these to make sure that we listen to the communities, we listen to the kids, we listen to the parents, and we respond accurately to the needs of the affected people. We can go to the next slide. In the practice, how can we do this? So there are many ways to do accountability to affected population. We need to listen to them before take decisions. We need to integrate them in the meetings or for example, the last maybe 2 weeks ago, I was doing a workshop about the cluster strategy, and we invited a teacher from the community to come to the workshop. So in this way, she can be part of the design of the strategy. She can be part of the response that we are giving, and we can, in this way, we are more sure about what we are doing also. We can also create complaint mechanisms where people can go to talk about our work, and we can improve our work with this. So many things we can do for accountability. Also, conflict-sensitive education programming. It means to do propositally programming where you avoid things that can make conflict, or that can upgrade the conflict, or it can, for example, if you are doing a school in a place, who should you go to listening where the school should be? Just to the leader, or maybe to the leader and to some community parents, or maybe you should also look where the houses are and see the proximity of the places. So everything that we need to do before the programming and during the programming. Then we have localization. Localization is to give power to the people. So give power to the local organizations, to society. And if the humanitarian are doing something in some place, no one knows better this place than the local people, right? So this is the basic for have a good response. Then we have child safeguarding and child participation. So child safeguarding, it means to avoid any risk for the children in terms of the interaction with the humanitarian. So if you are taking a picture, you are asking if you can take the picture. You collect an authorization. You make sure that you can you do no wrong with the children, and you have also some mechanisms to tackle this problem. Child participation, listening to the child, and not just using the same mechanisms as an adult, because sometimes the children don't know how to write, for example, and if the mechanism implies to write, or for example, the children are not maybe participating actively if you don't ask, so maybe you can do more participative ways to listen to the children. And child protection. So with child protection, there are the best interest of the children in the center, and all the protection about all about the child protection also. So we can go to the last slide. If the internet helps, yes. So what's the situation at this moment, and what's the findings that I have at this moment? Well, we know that the level of complexity in coordination is very strong, because we are talking about a complex role in a complex context. So it's a very, each country is different, each situation is different, because the crises are different. In most of the countries, there are multiple crises and complex crises, and not just one crisis to deal with. So everything needs to be taken in consideration. The funding is a problem for coordination. I think 2 years ago we had 2% of the all humanitarian funding. Now we have 3%. So you can see that it's insignificant compared to the others humanitarian sectors, even if also the other humanitarian sectors have a huge gap in funding, as we saw in the one of the previous slides. So one of the problems is that the coordinators have many tasks, not just the coordinators, also many humanitarians are in situations where they accumulate different functions, and they have a very overload work. So accountability to affected population and child participation are not each time are not the priority. So they are not a systematic approach and a very effective way to do it yet. So that's something that we should tackle. And the civil society and the local organizations are a powerful tool, a powerful structure that are already there, that work already. So when we are working when we are going to a place, we need to see what is there already and do not start from scratch. So we have a great potential there to tackle. Okay, thank you. I think that's the last one.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for such a great presentation. And after your presentation, there are a lot of questions running into my mind currently, and I would like to start asking. I would like to start doing the bombarding of the questions.
Go ahead.
So while we are talking about the education in the time of emergency, as the topic says, the armed conflicts, the forced displacement, the climate changes, uh, induced disasters, and protracted crisis has disrupted the education of approximately 75 million children and youth globally, and that number is growing rapidly with the spread of this COVID-19 virus. So, what role of emergency education groups can play in such crisis?
Well, the first one is the normalcy, right? Give the children a place to be children, a place to play, to grow, and to be together with other children. So this is one of the basic roles. Then education gives skills for life. You can learn not just skills, basic skills, but also skills that you use in your day-to-day life, like adaptability or creativity. And if they are learning together with other kids, this time is precious. At the same time, we have a place that's protected, that it's safe, and that it also allows, for example, the parents to go to work, to do other things. So there are many things that bring the education in crisis situation.
Yes, and when we talk about the foundational learning, so how can you explain the real risk of regression of children whose basic foundational learning, like reading maths, reading language, or pronouncing words, are not so strong to begin with, and they are at the most vulnerable stage right now in the time of crisis. So how can we see it as a real risk?
Well, the skills, the basic learning help, for example, children to solve problems. For example, if if they can calculate, they can they can know what they need, they can express themselves, and they can have the solution, a better solution. For learning languages, they can communicate with others. They can, if they can write, imagine if a children is lost from their parents, but they know the names of the parents, they can write the names of the parents, they can go, they know that they can go to an adult and ask for this. So the basic, the foundational learning also allows to learn the other skills. For me, it's like, you can learn how to cook, but you can't be a chef if you don't know how to boil an egg. So this is foundational. You need to have the tools, and the foundational skills are the tools for the rest of the skills that you are learning in life.
Yes, and as we are talking about the foundational learning and numeracy, so FLN is a very common term these days. And so, why FLN is important for the people like refugees, or the children, or the girl immigrants, or the youth with disabilities, or if we talk about the people affected by some trauma? So, how foundational literacy and numeracy is so important for them in a time where we are facing such a crisis?
So imagine if you have if you are already with some, I don't want to say gap, I don't know how you say, but if you are already in the back, no. But if you know how to read and how to write and how to some skills of life and everything, you can tackle your difficulties, and you can even if you have something that is pulling you back, you have the skills and the tools to go further. So it's very important, and it's the access, to give access to the education to these vulnerable children are very, very important for their life after the crisis, during the crisis. So it's like, yeah, it's essential. It's essential.
And when we talk about the education in crisis, most of the people all over the world are facing problem of internet connectivity, or the problem of some or the other infrastructural barrier. Where if we talk about India, so some of the places are there where the students or the children or the learners do not have the proper access to the internet, or they do not have proper devices to connect onto internet. So in the time of crisis, offline mode of education has been shifted towards the online mode of education. And the response to this, the schools are facing n number of dropouts also. So how can we tackle with this kind of situation in the coming time, where we do not know that when can COVID again return?
We can't think in the majority. If you tackle the majority, you will say maybe they will have a computer, and if they don't have, oh, I'm so sorry. No, you know that is the responsibility of the government is to give education to every child. So if one children don't have a computer, her right is to have education. So we can find other ways. Education is not something that we do, some pill that we give to a person in the same way each time. You need to adapt, and we need to do different ways to education. For example, if if this person, and in the most of the countries at this moment, the people have phones. So you can use the phone as a tool to work with education. You are not teaching by the phone, but you can work with the children, see if the children have some doubts. You can tackle some problems. You can work with the printed material. So many things can be done, and there are many examples that, for example, the WhatsApp is. I saw some very interesting work done with this application, the WhatsApp, with groups of parents that are helping the children to learn at home, and they are together trying to find the solution for their problems. So yeah, we just can't lay the harms and let things pass as it's not important, and we will find the solution. We always find a solution if we want to. I hope.
Yes,
And also,
truly, we have. Yeah, you were saying something.
no, I would just add one little thing is collaboration. So teachers collaborating together, parents collaborating together, children collaborating together. You are not alone. So, but you are saying that you have an example.
Yeah, I was saying that if as you were saying that we need to collaborate, and you also mentioned in just now in your answer that it's the duty of government to ensure education to every child. Yeah, but what about our collective mission towards eradicating illiteracy and focusing on the literacy part, where there every person, be it the government, be it the people from the corporate social responsibility sector, or be it the people from the like-minded NGOs, and also an individual coming together in a collective mission and working on the eradicating illiteracy and focusing on education, focusing on literacy. So, what are your views on this?
Exactly. That's when you put all the people together to tackle just one problem, you can see the results grow hugely, right? And if you have some people that are learning from someone in the next door, and they will feel the need also to give back, and this will be like a bubble growing, so it's very important, and it's very important to start little and from the population. If you start from the ground up, because the ground is always bigger and always powerful, because they are so huge in number. So yes, and the government, they need to listen to the people. So they will end up tackle the situation from where it's just scaling up, right? I heard
Yeah.
some stories about in India in this sense, very interesting. So I think in your country you have huge examples of that, right?
Yes, I'll share those examples with you. But before moving on with the session, I would like to take one question from the chat, where Mr. Mashood has to ask that how can education help in peace building in conflict settings?
Well, the education is one of the places where you can you can start to all the peace building. So you can tackle the peace building working in training teachers about how to do peace building activities with the children. And indirectly, you are already tackling peace building if you are keeping the children together, if you are keeping the children with working in things and giving a future to the children, because most of the time when there are conflicts, there are also recruitment from children. So if the children are in school, it's less difficult that if they are out of school to be recruited, for example. But also the community that the parents of the children, the people that are together in the community and everything, if they know how to work the conflict based in their families, they are getting strategies, and they are learning how to negotiate, how to discuss, and this will these are skills that it's going to help to the solution of the problem. It's not like a recipe where you know if you do this you will have the solution, but we know, and scientifically we know that the education have a huge impact in the communities and a huge impact in the peace building.
Yes, and moving, I would like to take one final question. That what do you see as the weakness of the current mechanism in the education system worldwide?
In the education system, there are one for me very big is that most of the people look at the education system in an industrialized way and want to give education, the same education to all, and the same way, with the same approach in the same way. And I think that if you adapt the education to each place, you can have better education, you can give better skills, because you are giving the skills that the children are need to them, their necessities, their needs. So one of the problems I would say is this one. I see a lot of weaknesses, because also I dig deep, right? But there are many good things also in education in emergency. It's a lot better than some past years. So yeah, I will like this one, but I think quality also is something that we forget sometimes. We stuck with numbers, and we stuck with checklists, and we answer to tests. That is just so that's I would say the second problem of the education systems.
Yes, ma'am. And as you were talking about some examples, so I would like to tell that we at Global Dream have a vision of a world where in which every person is empowered with the skill of foundational literacy and numeracy. Our mission is to mobilize a movement for literacy for all, like where we can focus on the literacy of the early childhood, the first generation learners, as well as the underprivileged adults also. So, and for example, we currently in India, we are based in Lucknow, and we are working here with two slums where we have targeted 350 children out here to make them literate within a time bound mission that is within the process of 30 hours. So we say that the processes, the methods, the techniques which we use is really fast, speedy, because if you see in the normal education system, it takes 3 years for a child to read, write, and learn, where with our processes, our techniques, our methods, and our methodologies, we take it just 30 hours and we make the person literate. And with 30 hours, we say that doesn't mean a 1 hour class daily. It could be, it is particularly a 15 to 20 minutes class daily, where if a learner gives his or her time to us, a dedicated time, so we can make him literate in a time bound mission. And and more like we are now working, and we have people with us, joined hands with us in making this mission successful out in here in India. So, and also I would like to request you to please stay back after the session just for 5 minutes if you can, so we could discuss that what the toolkit, what the techniques we use here in India, and how we can like work together in future in the field of education and literacy, and making a world where we all have the people who are literate, who know the importance of education.
Of
So,
course,
ma'am,
my pleasure.
yes, ma'am, and before moving, one final comment that how foundational literacy and numeracy is important for everyone, and why should one understand its importance?
Well, the importance is that it enables children to don't be with a gap in society of these days, right? So if they learn how to read and how to write and how to understand, how to interpret, how to critically thinking, they will have the skill, they will have the skills that will not make them go back in the society. It's an opportunity for life. So tomorrow they will have access to books. Tomorrow they will have access to internet, and they will have access to all the knowledge they want. With this, they will have access to read the all
Details
the
over there.
all the details in all the life, right? So if imagine if you have a pamphlet with what not to do to get killed, and if you don't know how to read, so if you know how to read, you will have the tool for life. It's very, very important. And the numeracy, the same thing. The numeracy is also a basic skill to life, to give
Yeah,
opportunities to everyone.
it's just like that you are having food to eat, but you do not know how to eat it. It's just the same.
Exactly.
And yes, as you use the term critical thinking, so we need, it's the high time, it's the need of the hour that people should now start critically thinking, and get to know the both sides of the coin, where they should know that what is the importance of education, and how they can be educated, and what benefits they can get in future.
That's
Yes, ma'am.
great.
Yes, ma'am. And with this, we move towards the end of the detox session. To know more about the Global Dream 30 Hours Foundational Literacy and Numeracy approach, please visit www.globaldream.guru. And you can also WhatsApp us on 740-840-6000. With this, I would like to thank Ms.Mara Sofia Pinto for
Thank
joining
you.
this session and accepting the invitation. We know you tried earlier also to join, but there was some technical errors, so you couldn't join. And we are very thankful that you tried it again, joining the session and coming live with us, and sharing your experiences about education and literacy. I hope people watching this live session have got knowledge about you and your work, and I think they might have been motivated to work again in the field of education. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for joining. It was really nice meeting you. It was really nice talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.